et l'efficacité énergétique des bâtiments. Le logo qui sera retenu par l'agence recevra une récompense. Vous pouvez envoyer vos logos sur le mail nouveau.logo.adme@gmail.com.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to 9 p.m. English News Edition. Here the headline. The National Gendarmerie celebrated the 44th anniversary of its creation. On international scene, South Africa wants to vaccinate 67% of its population in 2021. That was Alan Sana. Welcome to the national news. The Gendarmerie Nationale celebrated the 44th anniversary of its creation on Monday, 4 January 2021, marked by the seal of the COVID-19 epidemic. The ceremony was celebrated at the Sheikh Musa Institution Center in sobriety and in the presence of a very restricted assembly. It was chaired by His Excellency Mr. Hassan Umar Mohammed, the Minister of Defense. The event took place in the presence of the Prefect of Art Mohammed Shiko Hassan and the President of the Regional Council Mr. Ilmi Buh. The Chief of General Staff of the Armed Force, General Secretary Sheikh Ibrahim, the Consular Major General Hassan Ali Hassan, the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier General Tahiru Ali Muhammad, the Director General of the National Policy, Colonel Abdullah Abdi Farah, the Commander of the Republican Guard, Colonel Muhammad Jama Douali, the Commander of Colonel Wais Umar Bokore, and the Director of Civil Protection, Colonel Muhammad Mahmoud Dahe. In place of the report, the troop composed on 3 groups, namely the Judicial Group, the Specialized Group, and the Mobile Group. The Junior Platoon, 5 sections of student policemen, including a women's section, a block of female person, and finally the police dog and unit proceeded to take arms. Straight in the reports, 316 men and women mobilized were placed under the others of Colonel Hussein Nur Ad-Dual Dalia to take up arms after they welcomed under the rhythm of the national anthem played by the ADF Prize Heben. The Minister of Defense Hassan Umar Mohammed Burhan first greeted the colors of national before reviewing the troops, accompanied by the Chief of Staff, the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Secretary Hassan Aden, and Colonel Ibrahim Elmi Qayati.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم الفاتحة.
Guriku salim Gitim mahabta jandarama Gitim mahabta jandarama Guriku salim Gitim mahabta jandarama.
In his speech, Colonel Secretary Hassan Adan thanked His Excellency the Minister of Defense for sponsoring the event, which is being celebrated in special circumstances due to this COVID-19 pandemic, as well as all the military authority for their presence and did not fail to pay tribute to the gendarmerie who fell in service. The Chief of Staff of the Gendarmerie then reviewed the action carried out. Please listen.
I am honored to be here at the 44th anniversary of the creation of our institution. Quite particular circumstances in the dark matter marked by the events that have been able to draw this reference. Since the beginning of January, it has improved its security mechanisms with the territorial anchorage, its proximity to the government's agreement, His Excellency the President of the Republic seeking to perfect the freedom of association and cooperation in the organization. Indeed, last November, we hosted a training course that took place at the Nurses and Supervisors Obligation Room at the police station and has been finalizing for months in a training center with the participation of representatives of the state, underground network, experience, and monitoring of the defenses. It is done to tell you all my satisfaction to serve you by tracking the proclamation of our country.
In his speech delivered on the occasion, His Excellency the Minister of Defense in a special health context, please listen.
Pour moi, un immense plaisir de présider cette cérémonie commémorant l'anniversaire de la Gendarmerie nationale.
For me, it's an immense pleasure of ceremony as we will renew in front of the National Gendarmerie, which this year, well, because of the celebrations of the region, including the one that currently prevails in the mountains, and orchestra in its mood of defense and security in the National Navy, which, despite its statements to the expansion of land, shows courage and competence of the elements and especially evidence and analysis in the context of their missions. The Gendarmerie, aware of its essential role on the chessboard of security, is today undeniably in a dynamic of straining its capabilities and continues its efforts year after year to improve its service commando missions, said its Chief of Staff. It is their devouring confidence in the Navy, in the presence of the President of the Republic, his government, as well as the risks. I am proud of the reforms agreed by the City Hall to adapt to the new security requirements of our citizens, then encourage these measures that should allow a better rapprochement through cultural cooperation. Achievement and extraordinarily finalized thanks to the support of His Excellency Mr. President of the Republic. Secondly, the high commendable commitment of the High Command has assured the Chief of Staff at the City Hall of my permanent support. To conclude, I would like to address to each of the spouses and your families as well as to the members of our guests.
As part of the rejuvenation policy, the Egyptian Army Force have carried out targeted recruitment of young men and women from the civilian population. The profile was specialized in all disciplines ranging from medical assistants to computer engineers and lawyers. After 10 long days of selection, the successful candidates were called for physical and sport tests as well as a medical examination. This sport event included 4 workshops divided as follows: pull-ups to test arm strength, a cobra test which is a time race of 12 minutes, abdominal, and a series of push-ups. For each discipline, a time or a well-defined quota was given. Therefore, it is in this spirit that the young candidates were gathered earlier this morning on Monday, January 2020, at the Hessengulet Stadium after the call on the identification of the person and presentation of this national identifier. These young people were grouped in group of 20 at each workshop while being supervised by the staff of the ADF Sport Office. This selection of the workshop was random, thus minishing the waiting time. So having started on Saturday, 2 January 2021, this physical and sport test will last until Monday, 11 January, according to identified schedule. The schedule for calling the candidate is displayed at the entrance of Guled Stadium. This calendar indicates the exact date on which the physical and sport event will take place. Therefore, all young people with application are asked to come to the Guled Stadium to find out the date of test indicated in front of their name. No latecomers will be accepted. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, and his counterpart from the Interior, Mr. Mumin, visited the school to check on the progress of the future school car instructors and inspector of road safety and driving. The two ministers were welcomed by the head of the Directorate General for Technical Education and Vocational Training. This unique training course is part of the project to strengthen the capacity of those involved in the driving license and road safety sector. This training course began in November 2020 at the Babala Transport and Logistic Vocational Training Center. It is given by 4 Tunisian experts for a period of 6 months. The 19 beneficiaries have been selected after a theoretical and practical test. The Minister of Muslim Affairs and Culture and Waqaf Propriety, Mr. Momin Hassan Bari, sponsored this morning at the People's Place a ceremony dedicated to the closing of third section of the Holy Quran memorization contest organized by the Charity Association for the Holy Quran in Jaburi, in cooperation and coordination with the Embassy of the Custodian of the two Holy Mosques in Jaburi. The ceremony took place in the presence of the Saudi Ambassador the two Jaburi, Mr. Abdulaziz bin Abdullah Al-Matar, and the president of the association, Sheikh Jamal, as well as a dozen of ulamas and preachers. The Quranic contest, which was held to encourage young people to memorize the Holy Quran, brought together a large number of Quranic comprisers from Jaburi city and some region of the interior. During the ceremony, the first winners of the contest received a prize offered by the Embassy of the Guardian of the two Holy Mosques in Jaburi. On this occasion, a series of speeches were delivered, including that of the president of the association and the chairman of the jury committee, stressing the importance of the competition as well as the tireless effort made by the president of the republic and the minister of Muslim Affairs for the good of serving the noble Quran in Jaburi. Let us listen to the speech of the ambassador of Saudi Arabia.
نلتقي هذا اليوم في الحفل المبارك بمعية كوكبة من حفظة كتاب الله.
We meet this day in the blessed ceremony with a group of the keepers of the Book of God who took it upon themselves to preserve the Book of God. And it is the great responsibility that our true religion has commanded us to take care of the noble Quran. Dear brothers, the noble Quran is the root of all good as it's the guardians and light. It contains a statement of everything that the servants needs. The Almighty said that this Quran guides to those that are better. And the Almighty said, say it for those who believe in guidance and healing. The Almighty said, O people, may it be an exhortation from your Lord, a cure for what is in the breasts, guidance and mercy for the believers. The Almighty said, and we send down upon you to write a statement of everything, guidance, mercy, and good tidings for Muslims. It indicates what God has imposed and what He forbade in calling for good morals and good deeds. The commandment, brothers, is to take care of the Quran, recited aloud, contemplate its meanings, and work on it. In conclusion, I extend my sincerest thanks and appreciation for the patronage of His Excellency, the Minister of Islamic Affairs, Culture, and Endowments, my brother, Mr. Mu'min Hassan, for the conclusion of this competition, which is not surprising and not strange to His Excellency, who is always close to these activities. We ask God Almighty to bless him in his efforts and assistance to serve Islam and Muslims.
On his speech, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Culture and Waqf Propriety first of all thanked the Charity Association of Holy Quran in Jaburi, as well as the bazaar of the custom of the two holy mosques of Jaburi. Finally, he encouraged the young readers who memorized the Holy Quran. The Health Minister Mohammed Rassamadi reassured an important meeting on the restitution of the data on the evolution of malarial fever cases. Therefore, this meeting was attended by the Secretary General of Health, Dr. Saleh Bunayt Turab, and the main department in charge of vector control. The purpose of the meeting was to draw up a situation analysis on the outbreak of fever, including malaria, for the period 2020. Then the analysis of data collected in 2020 at the level of health structure indicated clear occurrence of fever cases in the same way as fever of malaria origin. The different directorate involved in the fight against malaria have raised all the strong points as well as the weak points that needed to be corrected. Finally, the Minister of Health, Mohammed Rassamadi, congratulated the different branches of the fight against malaria for this very encouraging result. The Minister of Health also called for additional effort to strengthen the continued fight against fever outbreaks. At the beginning of this new year, the Minister of Housing organized a meeting of technical committee of the Zero Islam program at the People's Place on Monday, 4 November 2021, chaired by the Minister of Housing, His Excellency Amina Abdi Aden, and the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, His Excellency Ali Gedi. The meeting of technical committee was attended by the Prefect of the City of Jaburi, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance, and the Minister of Social Affairs, as well as senior officials of the administration. The purpose of the meeting was to follow up and review the mid-term progress of the first phase of operationalization of the Zero Slum program. After a brief introduction by the Minister of Housing, who recalled the stage of Zero Slum program and the agenda of this meeting, the Director General of Arelos began a long technical presentation by making a retrospective of the activity completed and those in progress in terms of technical and European study. In terms of work, the whole Balbala, the work in proposed with the forthcoming completing and development of the 35 side of Balbala South and the construction of new secondary roads inside Balbala. All at the same time, the managing director raised all the obstacles faced by the implementation activity in the achievement of its objective. Within the framework Community Development Mutual, the Minister of Women and Family established for two community mutual in rural area in 2018 and 2019. In 2020, with the financial support of the European Union and the UNVBA, served to launch a new site for the extension of the mutual in 10 districts of regional capital will take place in Obo. Thereafter, they were joined by the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Ahmed Sheikh, and Fatou Mohammed, elected the local councillor and advisor to the Minister of Women and Family, Mr. Hassan Ali Rabai. This also allowed the creation of community funds that will take care of the needs in primary health care, and on one hand, and on the other hand, to the contributing the improvement of the life of vulnerable families, especially women and children. The Hossein Ibrahim family saw Abdi Hussein was wearing a black shirt and great photo. A Yankee who came across this gentleman should contact the phone number 639313 or 77645669 or take him back to the nearest police station. And now moving on to the news outside our border. The South African government has until now been very discreet about its strategy. Please listen the report.
The South African government has so far been very secretive about its strategy to obtain doses and vaccinate its population against the new coronavirus. Even though clinical trials are taking place in the country, a forum of scientific experts denounced this weekend the lack of clarity and information provided to the public on the negotiations undertaken by the government. The Minister of Health, Zweli, finally came out of his silence on Sunday, January 3rd. He outlined his plans for the country. Zweli said he was aware of the urgency of the situation and intends to acquire enough vaccine for nearly 14 million South Africans by the end of the year. We're aiming at a minimum vaccination target of 67% of the population to achieve herd immunity. These vaccines should be available by the end of 2021.
That's all for us. So thanks for staying with us and have a wonderful evening.